Hi, my name is Marianna Linz. I'm with the Department of Psychology at Marshall University. I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to share a little bit of information with you all who are doing one of the most fun, most frightening, and most frustrating jobs in the world, and that is taking care of little people and helping them become independent, healthy, and happy big people. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity to share some information with you. I'll also let you know that at the end of the presentation, I'll put up a slide that has my contact information. And please, if there's ever a time that you think you have a question I could answer, or if there's something that you're looking for that you think I could be of assistance with, please feel free to get in touch with me. I would love to hear from you. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about social emotional development and those early relationships that we form with our kids. Whether you are a mom, a dad, an aunt, an uncle, a granny, a grandpa, whoever you are, you're a very important figure in their life. And as they grow and develop and change, no matter what age they are right now, you're still playing a very important role in helping them move out into the world as independent people. And they're going to be building their own social groups and relationships and friendships. And kind of the neat thing, and also sometimes the daunting task, is the things that we do with them early on help them learn those skills that are going to be foundational to later relationships. So I always like to start by reminding us of something very, very, very important. We can get all caught up in feeling very guilty about parenting and all the mistakes that we think we're making as parents and all of the things that we think we've done wrong. And sometimes, let's be honest with ourselves, we do big things that maybe weren't the best things in the world. But I always want to remind us that at the end of the whole thing, which, by the way, parenting never ends. Mine are in their 20s. I call them children in recovery. And it never ends, the parenting task. But as long as they know that there is somebody out in that world that loves them like crazy, no matter what they do, that's the most important resilience ingredient that we can give them. And that really is not just something I'm saying to make you feel good. We actually have done research on that. And the resilience that builds inside of a child as they grow, that knowledge that somebody really and truly loves them no matter what, really carries them through a lot of difficult times and gives them a lot of, I like to call it reserve in the tank to bounce back from life's challenges as they move through them. Because it's always good to remember we can't protect our child from every stressor out there in the environment, and we don't want to. What we want to do is give them the tools and the skills to handle it as they move into the world. So I thought we'd start by talking about attachment. And a lot of you have probably heard that word. When we use the word attachment, what we're talking about is those really early, stable, emotional relationships that itty bitty babies form with their caretakers. And again, their caretaker might be a mom, a dad, it might be a biological parent, an adoptive parent, a foster parent, a grandparent. It's that person who has said yes to being that stable caretaking figure in their environment in those early years. And when we look at the attachment relationship, the thing that I think is most important and the thing that always kind of strikes me as a really, really beautiful thing to look at is that early relationship really is a dance. It's a dance between the caretaker and the child, and we're sort of taking the lead when they're little. We're helping direct it and we're helping to shape it, but we're very in tune with their needs, their frustrations, their desires, and all of the wonderful things about them. So we're sort of orchestrating that dance when they're really little. And the goal is to help them develop the skills so that as they mature and get older, they can lead from time to time. And those of you that are too young to know about, ballroom dancing and dancing together, you might want to look up what we mean by lead. No, I'm just kidding. And so what we want to do is we want to take the responsibility for organizing those early relationships and then help them learn how to do it later on. So the most important thing about a healthy attachment relationship is that really young babies and toddlers have instilled in them that real sense of safety. And the way that we do that is by making their world as predictable as we can, almost to the point, I say, of it being boring. Now, I will say that's not always easy. Life throws us curveballs, and sometimes they are huge, and sometimes our world gets rocked. And we may think, oh my goodness, there's such upheaval, there's such chaos in my life. Does that mean I can't help my child recover from that? Not at all. As we move through the challenges in life, we can establish that sense of safety and predictability again, or try to maintain it as much as we possibly can, even when there's a lot of, as we call it, life going on around us. So when we say safe and predictable, when babies are newborns and they cry, we need to go for them. Don't let somebody tell you, you're going to spoil that baby, stop picking them up. That's not true. They need to know that when they have a need, there's somebody that's going to come and take care of that need. Maybe that stinky diaper needs changed. Maybe they need to be fed. Maybe they just need somebody to pick them up and snuggle them for a little while. Sometimes they just need you to come by and put your hand on them, or they need to hear your voice. But when they know that when they make that noise, that there's somebody that's going to respond, we're giving that sense of safety and stability to them. And believe it or not, as they get older and they learn that, they will not cry more, they will cry less, because they don't have to, because you're there. And the more that you're there, you can begin to communicate with them in other ways. Always talk to them in these early interactions, no matter what you're doing, changing diapers, feeding rice cereal, whatever you happen to do. They're sitting in their bouncy seat and you're cooking dinner, or you're playing or working with your other kids, or trying to get things done. But let them hear your voice. And when you say something, pause for a minute. Let them make a noise. Let them blow a bubble. Let them do whatever. We're teaching them how to interact in a synchronous dance with the other person. I say something, you say something. I do something, you do something. And you'll be amazed that as they get older, how quickly they start to acquire that structure and those skills. So those early relationships, even when they're not talking in words, they're absorbing and soaking in that environment. And all of the things you do, nothing has to be fancy. That gentle touch, that quiet, what do you need, baby? I'm here, really goes a long way in helping them develop that sense of safety and stability. Our goal is to help form what we call a secure attachment, because believe it or not, attachment doesn't sound like independence, but that's what's going to build independence later on. When babies are able to develop those very secure relationships and begin to feel like the world is a reasonably safe place, because there's a big person out there that's going to take care of me if I need something, then they feel more comfortable beginning to move a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further into the world. We use the idea of social referencing, and you see it in toddlers all the time. They go into a new place and they're sort of clinging to grandma or whoever they're with for the first little bit, and they're sort of scoping out the environment around them. And then pretty soon they're slipping off grandma's lap, whether it's in the doctor's office or wherever they happen to be, and they're starting to kind of look around the room. And maybe you're in there with them and you catch their eye and you kind of smile at them, and you can see them look at you. And then the next thing they do is they look back at that big person that brought them. And what they're doing is something we call social referencing. They're going, is this okay? And if that big person smiles and nods and smiles at you, they're going to turn back around and give you that big old cheesy grin. Okay. And all kids are temperamentally different. Not all are going to grin quite as fast. But what they're doing with us when we're their caretaking figure is they're using us to try to figure out, how do I feel about this situation? And we want to give them real and honest cues when it's okay for them to move away. It's okay for them to touch something. It's okay for them to do something. We smile, we nod, we verbally encourage. We let them know, yes, it's okay. And so they begin to move further and further out into the world, and they explore and they learn. Sometimes their learning is a little messy. I will give you that. Sometimes it may involve ketchup and mustard on your kitchen floor just to see what colors they make. But what they're doing is they're learning about their world, and they're checking with you to see if it's okay. So when they see a dog and you see the dog and the dog doesn't look too happy, and they look back at you and you shake your head and you frown and you reach out and you pull them back, they may cry. They may be a little upset. Not that they're upset. They may be a little upset about not petting the dog, but they're upset because they know that potentially is a situation that can be dangerous. And you can let them know they can handle it by scooping them up and going, it's okay, let's walk around the dog so we don't scare them. And they start to learn about their world. By those kind of interactions, we let them know it's okay to check it out. I've got your back. It's okay to make a mistake. We can clean up the mistakes and we just learn not to do it again. And we're going to teach them about emotion regulation. Emotion regulation is one of the most important foundational skills that you can teach your young child. And you will do it just with normal interaction, nothing fancy. Here's the way it starts. Babies cry. And when babies cry, they get, we use the term dysregulated. Their arms start going, their legs start going, they get louder and louder, they get more and more intense. Sometimes they turn funky colors, like their face gets really, really red, and they just can't turn the volume down for whatever reason. When we change the diaper, when we talk in that calm and soothing voice, and then when we're all done, or we put them in that bath and they just really weren't quite ready for that burst of cold air, and we hurry up and then we wrap them in that towel and we snuggle them, their little heart rate comes back down, they get a little more calm, and they learn that it feels better when they're not so distressed. We do that for them by picking up, by speaking, by soothing, by rocking. They help. They'll start to learn to suck their thumb or suck their hand or suck their foot, whatever they choose to do. They'll vocalize. And yes, even crying is part of learning how to become regulated. But we'll help them do that. So when you pick them up and you rock them, you're not spoiling them. You're teaching them how to regulate their emotions. When they get a little bit older, they start to do it some themselves. So when you're speaking a little bit sternly to them about not putting mustard on the dog's tail, yes, my children have done all of these things. Okay. You might notice that they close their eyes, or they hold their ears, or they look down at the floor, or they try to back up a little bit. That's actually emotion regulation. The stimulation is a little bit much. They're trying to cut it down. It doesn't mean they're not listening. They're just trying to make it more comfortable. They also will regulate their emotions and their arousal by looking for you as their attachment figure. When they get upset, they want you. Okay. And they'll sort of, mine used to sort of melt on me or their dad when they were upset. And they'll just sort of melt on you and feel better. But they begin to do things on their own. So when they're preschoolers, they can think ahead about behaviors that they can choose that won't create a situation where they have to get upset. So the more that we support them in learning to regulate emotions, and that's why that stability of the early environment is so important. As they begin to do that, as they get older, then they're going to have fewer tantrums, fewer meltdowns. They're going to be more in control as they get older. And so as we're kind of finishing up, one of the things I want to remind you is that parenting is not for the faint of heart. Okay, if you're finding it challenging, you're doing it right. If you're stressed, you are involved. But it can be a very stressful situation. And when you have a lot of things going on in your world, then it can be very stressful indeed. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. If you're finding yourself exhausted and irritable and impatient and resentful, and then you feel guilty because of that, and you're not sleeping well, then that's telling you you're not taking care of yourself. If you can't list me time things that you're doing, even if it amounts to the baby's asleep and I'm going to get on, that old Facebook, or I'm going to take a look at Amazon, or I'm going to do whatever, or I'm going to call a friend, or I'm going to eat me this piece of Dove chocolate and I'm going to enjoy every stinking minute of it. If you're not finding that you're doing any of that, you're not engaging in self-care. If you're not taking those moments in your day that literally are just for you, I like to call them mini vacations and perks, then you're not taking care of yourself. If you're not getting enough sleep, if your nutrition is all out of whack, or worse, you're not eating at all, then you aren't taking care of yourself. So you need to think about how to build that into your world and get help doing it. Don't be afraid to ask people for support. If you're in the moment and you're feeling the stress of parenting, make sure your child is in a safe place. If it's an infant, that they're in their crib and they're safe, and maybe they're crying and you can't manage right now, step back, take a breath, phone a friend, have somebody you keep on speed dial. Look around the room. Look for 5 things that you see, that you feel, that you smell, that you touch, that get you grounded. And take that deep breath from the belly in and blow it out until you feel more in control. And then if you need to, call in the reinforcements, call in that support system. But taking care of yourself as a parent is not selfish, it's essential. Remember that as kids get older, and we'll talk about this in later sessions, you still need to continue building those social skills and helping them develop the kinds of negotiation skills that they're going to need. So continue to help them get regulated. When they're getting all bent out of shape and excited, whoa, 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 whoa. Count to 3 and calm down. Take a deep breath. Don't be afraid to negotiate with your child. When you're telling them to do something and clean their room right now and they say 5 more minutes, negotiate the 5 minutes. See if they can stick to a plan, stick to a deal, stick to a bargain. That teaches them good social interaction skills. Model good self-regulation. And when you mess up, own it. Have an attitude of gratitude. Let them know you're grateful for what they do and who they are, and that you are crazy about them no matter what. Always praise the child, correct the behavior, and hug and hold as much as they want. It's very important. So I appreciate you taking the time to spend listening to some of this information and hopefully thinking about it. I hope some of it's been helpful. Again, here's my contact information. Feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call if there's something that we can help with. And as always, if you find yourself in a very stressful situation and you find a lot of things going on in your world, please do reach out. We would love to help you find the kind of support and assistance that you need for you, and also so that you can be the best, most supportive big person to your little person that you can. So thank you very much for your time, and have a good day.